As we begin the design process with the Breckenridge project, I'm going to start with the floor plan, the main floor, creating the shell for this floor 1, dimension it, and we're going to define the rooms and the different ceiling heights. A couple of renderings for what the floor plan is going to look like on this main floor. Kitchen is going to be on the left-hand side. It's going to have a shed ceiling. The living room in the center is going to be open to the story above. And then on the right hand side of the design here is going to be a flat ceiling with the master office and master bath. Different perspective of it. And in the floor plan that we've sent to the construction drawing, you can see that the majority of the right hand side of the house is at a 90-degree angle, and then the kitchen is actually at a 45-degree angle. And it introduces a few more design complexities that we'll talk through as we go through the design. So let me go ahead and open up the program and let's begin the process. So I've opened up Chief Architect Premiere. Some of you may be using the Interiors program. I'll try and point out differences as they come up. I've turned off my grid pattern so it's a little cleaner for the video. I've also turned off my crosshair cursor. The first step is to create the shell, and I'm going to use my exterior straight wall. I've set my wall default up to be a lap siding wall, so as we draw the plan it's going to have those wall types in there. Now as I begin drawing the walls, I'm actually going to just press the tab key because I know the dimensions in this case. So as I press the tab key, I'm going to enter in 16 feet. Select the end of this wall up here with the diamond. Come over here, press the tab key, again 24 feet. I'm just going to make my way around doing this same thing with the dimensions because I know the exact dimensions in this case. And in this one, we'll just get the extension snap. You'll notice that blue line that comes up. This wall is 12 feet long. And then finally, this one over here should be 20 feet long. And then we'll just come up, get the extension snap that you can see off of there, and enclose the design. Use the automatic exterior dimension tool, and now you can see our dimensions are placed. Notice when I began the floor plan, I just started with the 90-degree segment off to the right. Next step is to create our 45-degree segment off to the left that will form the kitchen. First step I'm going to do is I'm actually going to toggle the dimensions off so that they aren't in my way as I do this. I'm going to select one of the dimensions, and on the object layer properties I'm going to turn that from being displayed off. Just kind of clean that up. Now I'm going to pull this design over a little bit, zoom in here, select the wall. Notice my temporary dimension displays. If you want to toggle that off, you can do that over here in the menu. Toggle that back on, and I'm just going to pull that back to a number that's in that area. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my manual dimension tool, and I'm just going to come in here and draw a dimension, select the end of that wall, and I want that to be exactly 3'6". Enter that in. I'm going to pull this dimension line off of the corner. And if I try to press the tab key in this case, I only want it to be 6 inches, so it's a very small segment. It's difficult for me to get that. In fact, the tab key won't work, but once I have that set there, I'm going to go ahead and use my manual dimension tool one more time, and we'll just pull that out, and I'm going to set that to be 6 inches. So you'll notice it's very small, and just to make things clean, I'm just going to remove those dimensions for now. So I've got that segment that I need. Select the end of this wall. We'll pull it off at a 45-degree angle. In this case, I want it to be exactly 15'6". So I'm going to type that in, 15'6". And then we'll pull this around, and again, I'm going to use the tab key here. And I want that to be exactly 24 feet. And then we'll just pull that up and connect that. When I connect that up, it's probably going to adjust our dimensions slightly on that wall. Let me turn our automatic dimensions back on. Turn that layer back on. Notice that before, that dimension up here was 20 feet, and it moved that wall to connect in with that dimension just slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on this wall, and I'm going to square that dimension up just simply by clicking on the wall, mouse over the dimension, and I'm just going to make that exactly a 1/4 inch, 1/20 foot and 1/4 inch. Now that I have the basic outline and dimensions, let's take a 3D overview of the design. Now you can see the exact footprint of the main floor. You can see the small 6-inch wall that we put in here, the 45-degree wing. And while you're in this view, remember I've used my exterior wall tool that was lap siding. I already had that defined. You also notice that my wall color and my floor color are a certain color. Those are because my defaults for this template plan were set up. Also, if I click on the room here, you can, if I open this up with the Control E, Command E on the keyboard, I've set my ceiling heights up in my default to be basically a 9-foot ceiling. It's actually, the rough ceiling is 109 1/8, which you can calculate by using the floor structure and ceiling structure information. And you can also actually drag this up in 3D if you want to pull this room up and down. It's not as accurate as in the dialog, but you can do that. Next step is let's add some of our interior walls and then look at our openings for the windows and doors. Some of the dimensions it's nice to clean up. Notice my automatic dimension actually is picking up the wall down here at the bottom. I'm just going to pull that up and snap that into the outside of this wall, and then we'll delete the other dimension here. Now when I add my interior dimension, or my interior walls, let's set up our interior wall, and I have a few different wall types. If we look at the different wall types that I have set up here, one of the things that I've done is I've added an interior 6 insulated, and it has a different hatching pattern inside of here. So when I do my floor plan, it's easy to see which walls are insulated, which walls are not. I'm going to insulate the master and maybe a few other walls. And so I've set up an insulated 6-inch wall, an insulated 4-inch wall, and then I have the corresponding walls with no insulation. I'm going to begin with that 6-inch insulated wall, and I'm going to come in and use that interior wall, and I'm just going to drag out a few different walls in here. Not going to worry too much about the dimensions at this point. Notice my interior snap picks up. One more 6-inch insulated wall in this area that will form our laundry room. And now I'm going to change the wall type by double-clicking on it to the 4-inch insulated wall. Again, I use the hatching fill style to help differentiate that. And I'm going to drag out a wall back here that will form our powder room and master closet. And also for our toilet area, come in here. I'm not worrying about the dimensions. We'll use our automatic dimensions and square those up. I'm using the wall tool to create room definition. Room definition is important in the program because it allows you to define ceiling heights if you want to lower the floor. Room definition is kind of a key component of Chief Architect. It's what allows you to really define the structure and different aspects where we're going to have a vault or a shed ceiling. In this area for the master bedroom, I have a fireplace that is dividing the entertainment room from the master bedroom. And I'm actually using a solid component for that fireplace. So between the hallway, the master bedroom, and the other hallway, I'm going to use a wall. I'm going to then turn it into an invisible wall or a room divider so we can get room definition. And the exact same operation I'm going to do for the kitchen because that is going to have a shed ceiling. And just to kind of give you an idea what the master bedroom fireplace looks like, it's a double-sided fireplace, but I have a privacy panel between the two viewports so that is not actually a see-through fireplace. To create that room definition, I'm going to change my wall type to just a regular interior 6 wall. So I want that thickness, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to draw one of the wall segments here. Notice it actually truncated my other wall that I'll have to extend back that will formulate my master bedroom. And we'll just pull that down and snap that through. I'm going to select this wall segment, and I'm going to open it up, and there is an indicator off of the general panel to make that invisible. And I'm just going to do the same thing over here, make that wall invisible. And then for this wall that will form the boundary of our fireplace, I'll go ahead and pull that back out. Using that same wall, let's come over and create a room definition for our kitchen. And you know you have room definition when you click in the area and it becomes shaded, and then you can double click on that room and give it a name and a ceiling style. So in this case, let's go ahead and name this a kitchen. And I'm going to make this ceiling structure, I'm going to remove the ceiling out of it because it's going to become an open and shed ceiling. So I'm going to remove that out. And again, let's go ahead and select that wall. We'll do the same operation, make it invisible. So it's just merely giving us room definition that allows us to change the ceiling type. I'm also going to make that same change into this room as well. We'll choose the living area, living room. If you want to rename the room, we'll call it living/entertainment. So you can give it a very specific name, and in this case, let's also remove the ceiling out of it because it will be open to the second story above. I'll draw a few more wall segments to wrap up the floor plan. I'm going to use the Interior 6 tool. I'm going to formulate a closet down in this area. Draw a 6-inch wall there. I'm going to pull this wall actually back. And again, I'm going to use a 6-inch wall segment that will be a bearing wall right in this area. And I'm going to change my wall type now back to an interior 4 wall. So I use a few different wall types in here. I want to formulate a closet over in here, and I'm going to come over and drag out another wall over here to enclose the other closet. And then to enclose that pantry, I'm going to draw a wall out back over here. And we'll just come over and create a different shape in there. And notice that we have our enclosure here that gave it a kitchen room because it picked it up. Let's rename that from a kitchen. We'll just use the name pantry in here, see if that is an option. It's not an option, so I'll just leave it as a kitchen and type in the name pantry. And one more check on that pantry. If I wanted to have the ceiling in there, there is no ceiling. That's fine in this case. And for entertainment room, go back. Since we deleted that, we'll just call it living and remove the ceiling structure out of it. With the exception of the shower enclosure, those are all of the key walls. I can update my dimensions by clicking on this and then just simply going around the design, clicking on the wall, and then you can type the dimension that you want. Let me just type in 17 foot 10 inches. And I'll just make my way around and square up all those dimensions. When you're finished, you'll see all of the walls set up. Again, they have my colors defined from those. Notice that I still have this area open for the master bedroom. That's because we're going to put the fireplace in there. One last feature for the floor plan is to create our patio. I'm going to use a deck railing tool. Actually just use the straight railing because I don't want framing from the deck railing that would generate. I'm going to come out off of the end of here. Again, press the tab key, press in 10 feet. And I'm just going to make my way around the house. Drag this out until I get an extension snap, and then we'll pull that over. Somewhere in this area right here, I'm going to use the break tool. Create a break because my terrain is going to meet up in that area approximately. Select these two end walls, and I'm going to mark them invisible so that they do not have the railing off of it. Notice that you get the preview of that when it's invisible. Select OK. Back into our 3D view. And now you can see with our patio and our floor plan. The next step in the floor plan is to place doors and windows. If I close this view here, back in the floor plan, I'm going to use my door tool. And there's a variety of doors you can place. To begin with, I'm going to grab a pocket door, come down here and place that between the office and the hallway. Use the hinge door tool, and depending on which side of the wall I click on, you get the hinge. You can also come in when you're placing your doors, click on the door, and there's a tool down here to change the swing side, or you can also change the hinge side. I'm just going to make my way in and around and place the rest of the doors in the design. It's a little bit of busy work, and I'll finish that up. So I placed the rest of the doors in here, and notice if I zoom in, some of the doors you can control and change the swing view and floor plan. The other thing, if you're going to do a walkthrough or rendering, there's an option when you render it to show it open or show it closed. So that's where you'll find that is under the option settings. Finally, on the door over on the patio, if we open that up, I've actually made this a 3-panel door so that it's a cascading sliding door. And I've yet to place the entry door because I'm going to finalize that with the mold, make it a mold entry unit with side light windows. And let's move on and place our windows. The window tool is next to the door tool here. And if I come in and place a window in this powder room, zoom in, open it up. Now I've set my defaults on all of my objects in this profile plan. And my default window is actually a double hopper. You can choose the different window types from the drop down. And then you can customize this object. My default window has a certain floor to bottom, floor to top setting, and the different options in casing and different lights. Notice that my double hopper window, I can control the bottom component size on how far that is. So once you've placed your window, you can then make it your default window and use that throughout the rest of your design. And you'll find tools like the center tool that I use quite a bit. You can center that in that room exactly. And if I make my way around, place a few of the windows. Again, my default window is easy to override, so if I want to make this window larger, you can either click on the dimension here, or if I want to, just set the width, in this case to be 3 foot. You can type in dimensions or inches in the dialog here and set it. Again, if you want to use the center key, you can center that and make your way around and place the rest of the windows. I completed placing the windows. Some of my windows have the hopper style, other windows are just a fixed glass. Now the last step in the floor plan is to create our entry door and our side light windows. The entry door unit, let's begin by placing our door in the wall here. And let's open that up. Control E on the keyboard, Command E. So again, you'll notice my default door is actually a glass door, and I have some lights in here. You'll find that on the side panel over here. On this door, let's go ahead and set the width of that door to be 5 feet 60 inches. Press the Tab key. Again, you can actually change and rotate around, get the different views. So if you're changing your colors and materials, you can figure out what your casing is on either side. So I've made that a 5-foot door. I'm just going to center that approximately in that wall. And now I'm going to use the window tool and place a window on either side of that door. So selecting the window tool, come down here, place the window, select on it, double click to open it. And notice my default window, again, is the double hopper. First thing is I'm going to change that to fixed glass. And we're going to go down through and make a few changes. So 32 inches on the width. I'm going to make it 94. My door is 96, so this is going to be actually up and off the floor a bit. I'm going to change that to 2 inches off the floor, so my floor to top is 96. Change the Craftsman lights, 3 across, 5 vertical. And finally on the sash, on the bottom width of that sash, I'm going to set that to be 21, so you get a panel that will somewhat match the door. So all the changes that we've done have been updated in the preview over in the panel. Select OK. That will update the window. I'm going to highlight the window here, zoom in a little bit, and with that window selected, I'm just going to click on the dimension. I'm going to set that to be 3 7/8 inches. Select OK. And using the copy tool and reflect about the door, create an exact copy on either side. You can see that my molding, my casing is actually right up against the sheetrock, so that's exactly where I want it. Now to create this as a mold single unit, which you may or may not do in the field, I'm going to select the window, shift select the door, shift select the window. There is a block or mold tool, make mold unit, select that, and now when you open this up, Control E on the keyboard, you can include it as an entire unit. You can also choose to have this framed as an entire unit, so you can leave that opening and frame it as a single opening. Now, when you mold this as a door and a window, you're going to have to choose which schedule it goes into. Whether it goes into the door schedule, which might be typical, or it goes into your window schedule. Speaking of schedules, if you use a schedule or if they're important to you, you'll find schedules for doors and windows and other components as well. I like to actually manage these in what's called CAD detail management. They're separate rather than putting in my floor plan. And I will create a schedule for windows. And in this area, it's just a work area, I can come in, create a schedule for those windows and place it right here. And it's going to give you all the information that is associated with that window schedule. And if I click on it and press Control E, you can control what is displayed in here. A lot of times I will actually create these based on each floor, but you can control that whether it's for all floors or a single floor. Whether you want to group similar objects if you have windows that are the same size. And one of the new things in Chief Architect X8 and newer is you can actually include the 3D symbol. Let me just go ahead and pull that over here, move that up. And once you've got that all set up, you can then set that and get your windows. And one other thing, let me just go back in here, is you can choose your label style. In the case of my window, I'm going to use a diamond. Select OK. And when we go back into the floor plan, you see that my diamonds have indicated and replaced the label. If I do the same thing for the doors, let's go back in and create a new item for doors. Select that, and back in the tools, schedules, door schedule. Let's customize the door schedule in the same way. The only thing that I'm going to do is let's do an elongated circle, and let's also put in the 3D exterior elevation. Pull that over, move that up to the top, and I'll just leave all the other items, all floors. Select OK. And you'll see here's my mold unit. So that mold unit actually brought in the exterior side light windows in there. And then you can use this and send it out to your layout sheet, similar to what I've done here, and put that on there to create your door and window schedule. And then back in the floor plan view, you'll see my label update for the doors. And we zoom back out, you can see it for the entire plan. Now the last step in the process of creating the floor plan for floor 1 here is to update your automatic exterior dimensions. Click on that, turn the layer back on, and a lot of times you'll need to zoom in here and maybe clean up the dimensions. Depending on what that is, you'll notice that maybe my openings here didn't go all the way to the end of the wall like I wanted it. So you can just simply click on the dimension. You always find an extra diamond that you can come in, pull that over, and likewise you can also pull those diamonds off. Once you clean up the dimensions, a lot of times I'll put those on different layers. In my case, I might take this exterior outer dimension, select it, put it on my exterior layer, my walls layer, and then my openings layer. That way I can make a very clean floor plan look. Just to give you an idea, I've opened up my completed plan here, and on this secondary dimension, if you double click on it and open it, my layer is on dimensions exterior walls. I can easily toggle that off now. Simply open that up, toggle that off, and then on the openings I've done the same thing here. If you open that up, it's on the dimension in openings, turn that off. And now that will clean up the dimensions. If you're just after a basic clean look, makes it very easy to control the look of your floor plan through layers. That's the last segment on creating the floor plan. I've sent that out to my layout plan that I'll cover in the layout section of the video, but I've included it at a 1/4 inch scale, put in my notes, and then I've also included my rendering of a various view of that floor plan. And the next segment of the video will be creating the second floor plan for the Breckenridge design.